Hey guys, it's Casual Friday, and that means it's Medium Nancy Matt's Friday, and we're going to be talking about the movie Dead Again. Be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust, turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. How's everybody doing? I'm doing okay. I haven't felt that great the last few days, but hopefully it will get better. Anyway, my name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento, California. We are 45 strong up and down the state, which means if you have a paranormal issue or you think you have a paranormal issue, we can get you. It might take us a couple of days, but we can definitely do that. And in the time, if it happens to be a couple of days that it's going to take for us to get you, we have psychics on staff like Nancy or someone else who could call you and talk to you about what may or may not be going on. And if it seems to be paranormal, they can usually calm it down, calm whatever it is down for you until we can get out there. Like I said, California is a big state, and it might take us 1 or 2 days to get to you, but we will get to you. Plus, you'll be talking to me on the phone all the time, so you're never alone. Okay, if you want to find us, check us out. Google us, California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, California Haunts Radio. You can find us on Google. You can also find us at all the social media, just about all, not Kicks or anything like that. Just about all the social media sites. That being said, if you're watching or listening tonight and you like what you hear, please feel free to hit that follow button. We're always looking for followers. We're just trying to build up our presence on the World Wide Web. If you're watching from Facebook and you haven't done so already, again, hit that follow button and leave me a comment. Leave me a comment or two in the chat room. Show me a happy faces, thumbs up, happy hearts, things like that. That would be great. Same thing with YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube yet, feel free to do that. We're trying to get that 1,000. We're getting closer and closer and closer. And oh my gosh, it's getting really exciting. Tension's rising, getting exciting. And also, you can do the same thing. Leave us happy faces, comment, that kind of thing. That would be very helpful. And anything TikTok, Twitch, everywhere else that we're broadcasting to tonight, that would be very, very helpful. Because what that does is there's a master computer at all these social media places, and it puts us into what they call the FYP in this master computer, where it takes more notice of us, and then it distributes us out to more people, and that's the goal, to be distributed to more people. All right, little change of plan tonight. Nancy's internet has gone down, and she was hoping to get on by the time the show started, but it's not happening. So we were going to discuss the movie Dead Again. So I'm just going to continue with that. I did not do any research on Dead Again. However, there's other movies that I've seen that are ghost-related. I was going to read, because we're going to be starting a new book on Sunday called The Scottish Ghost Stories, True Scottish Ghost Stories. And I could not quite get the thing downloaded or set up on my tablet yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk movies. So if you have a favorite paranormal movie that you like, let me know in the chat room, and we'll talk about it. But there's a few that I like, and there's actually one that I think is closer to the truth than a lot of people think it is. Okay? Let me grab Grogu over here, have a little drink, and we'll get this show on the road. Oh yes, there's something else I forgot to add. Tonight, around 10 p.m. Pacific, I'm going to start recruiting for extra team members. We've had a couple drop off over the last year or so, and so I want to build up. We're going to have our first big team training towards the end of April, and so I want to build the team back up, and I'm going to be teaching a course of Ghost Hunting 101, very intense. There's a certain way that I like my team to investigate and things like that, and that's what you learn during this course. And if you're chosen, or you decide after going through the course, if you decide to come in and join the team, then we'll go ahead and get you going, because some people will take the course and decide to figure it's not for them, which you can't, I don't blame them, because it's, like I said, it's a very intense course. In fact, it's usually, I usually teach it in 2 parts. That's how intense it is. I'm very fussy. So if it sounds like something you'd like to do to join one of Northern California's, and I'm just going to say this just out there, largest and premier paranormal investigation teams, this is the way to do it, okay? But like I said, I'm very fussy about who I bring in and how I train. So you can check that out, 10:30 p.m., 11 p.m. tonight, Pacific, on the California Haunts Meetup site, and I'll have links up there and all that good stuff that you can check out the events. I'm going to figure out a date for it, and we can go from there with it. All right? Okay, so let's talk movies. There's quite a few movies out there in Hollywood, that were made, not only Hollywood though, but in Europe. When you think about the Dracula movies, there have been some recent Dracula movies that weren't even made here, okay? Some of those Dracula movies were made over in England. Hello. Change of plan tonight again. Medium Nancy Matz's internet's down. So we are going to be talking about movies tonight. Regardless, we were going to talk about movies anyway with her. So we're going to have some conversations about paranormal movies. If there's any paranormal movie that you guys want to mention in the chat room that we could discuss, feel free to do that, because I'm going to try and talk about at least 4 or 5 movies. Anyway, where was I going with this? I don't remember. I'm totally lost. I've seen a few movies that have really interested me, and some are more recent than others. Some are older than you would think. Oh yes, that's where I was going. Got thrown off track. Dracula. Let's talk about Dracula a little bit. I did a lot of research on Dracula when I was in college. That was one thing that we had. Excuse my chair. It kind of makes it mysterious today. One of the things about Dracula is that they weren't all made here in the U.S. No, in the U.S. here we had Bela Lugosi was our main. Looks like Nancy's up, and here we go. Nancy's with us. Saved by the Nancy. So let's get on with our show and bring her in.
Oh gosh, we've been out of the internet for about an hour and a half.
Cool.
So I'm up in Oroville. Just. Char, it's been an afternoon. I swear, I had all kinds of things, people emailing me and things I had to. I get a lot of sympathy to you in your neighborhood. And I started wondering, I wonder if there's something going on. Everybody's using the internet. And clearly, I couldn't even get in the internet. It was absolutely done.
Well, I'll put it this way. When I first came on to do the pre-record thing for this show, I was having the internet sign came up there. And I thought, oh God, here we go again. So I got that done, turned around, rebooted my system, the whole internet system. Still got those little things up there that there's something going on. There's a lot of people online. So I don't know what's going on. You missed it. I was going into a great lecture about Count Dracula.
That might be interesting.
I was telling everybody, I said, I couldn't get the book downloaded in time to get going. I said, well, since we were going to talk about Dead Again anyway, we might as well talk about paranormal movies in general. So let's just go for it. Let's go way back and talk about Dracula.
Oh gosh. Well, when you when this show posts, make sure you say, well, I started out talking and then Nancy was able. I can't believe I finally got in 1 minute before the show starts. It's just nuts.
Really quickly, along the Dracula, so I can finish my thought on that.
Okay.
The United States made Dracula movies. Great Britain made Dracula movies, and that's where you got Christopher Lee, because he was the British Dracula. And then you got the Spanish Dracula. In fact, I can tell you, Preston Castle here in California, over in Iowa.
I've never.
They actually used that as Dracula's Castle for a movie made by a Spanish production company.
Oh my gosh, small world, isn't
cool.
it?
But here's another small world. Bela Lugosi was Hungarian, like my father and my grandfather me. But the kicker part of it is that I wouldn't have known. Like, I had no idea that he was Hungarian. He just looked like a creepy old guy. But when I see it now, and I know basic words in Hungarian, because I don't know. If you ever try to read Hungarian, it's one of those languages where it's got 87 letters in one word, and you're just trying to figure out how the hell to pronounce it. And so I just learned all the things that were like 4 or 5 letters, And so when you look at the Bela Lugosi movies, of course, nobody would know this unless you're Hungarian, because he couldn't read English.
Oh, how interesting!
They made everything, and they made all the names of the streets and all the names of the stores and the cottages were all done in Hungarian.
I mean, I wouldn't know.
Nobody would know, no, unless you spoke Hungarian.
Yeah.
But that's what it was. It's because he couldn't read English, so they had to make the props. Like the different, like a store in Hungary is called a Bolt, BOLT.
Okay.
And
That's
so
what I
when
thought
you
you.
look and you see the guy going in to buy cigars or whatever he's doing, Jimmy, whatever his name is or whatever is in the story, it says Bolt up there. And that's when I discovered it because I
Little
had to.
tidbits no one knows.
I had to take this course in college, because I was doing. I was working on makeup. The horror makeup for film was one of the things I was working on.
How fun is that?
And horror movie, and then there was also a horror movie class as well. So I went ahead and took that class, and that's where I learned all this. And
I've told Char many times. She'll call me up talking about a TV series, and I just can't get involved because I always miss it. In fact, I just finally caught up some emails. I see a lady wanting to have a session with me, and a third of the time it's at night, and I miss every show I want to watch. But I did watch repeats of a TV series where artisans from different movie stations or the makeup artists doing horror film and creature masks. I love that. How clever are people?
And I'm going to tell you guys a secret, since we're along that line. If you guys want to do cheap horror makeup on yourself, okay,
that's something I want to do every day.
You don't want to use latex because latex will stick to you, and latex is fun to work with. I've done that. But me growing up and not having access to latex, there's a simple, easy way to do this, guys. Get tissue paper. You can even use toilet paper if you want. And mix some sugar and water together.
Oh.
Dunk it in there, put it on your face, and when it dries, it shrivels up like wrinkled skin.
I'm at an age where I'm putting moisture on so I don't have that wrinkle. I could just leave it.
You can do that. You can do anything you want to it. You can make it look. You can make it look like you're injured. You can do anything you want with it. And then for like a 3D effect, you can actually layer it.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
It's an easy way, and it's one of these things where like spirit gum will irritate your skin. This won't do that. It'll stick to your skin, but it won't irritate your skin. So that's the poor man's makeup.
I'm right. I get it. I get it. And I would think kids would love that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yes, go ahead. Now we can move on.
Well, you had a thought you wanted to finish it.
Yes.
I know there's some movies coming out. I just saw a blip on it. I can't remember. It must have been YouTube. Some vampire movies are coming back. Vampire, it seems to be popular, but so is reincarnation. I've been seeing a few more shows pop up. My TV was on earlier, and Cloud Atlas, I've never seen that movie. Now, it wasn't as popular at the theaters because I think people couldn't follow the 7 lives that were being shown. But Cloud Atlas implied that people incarnate the same groups of people over and over. And what the movie I'm talking about tonight, and there's aspects of it I really wanted to cover. It's called Dead Again, 1991. And Melissa Gilbert, the name you gave me earlier, was in another movie of Dead Again type of scenario where she finds herself in a past life in a hotel where she supposedly committed suicide by jumping down an elevator shaft. In reality, she was killed. And I meant to look, well, the internet's been down forever. So it's kind of frustrating when I wanted to put the last couple of thoughts together. Dead Again, I saw a couple months. I gave this idea for her to do this show tonight, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but I'd had it in my mind for 2 or 3 weeks. So I had seen it on TV, but I had seen it before. So when I Googled it, to let you know if it's on YouTube, I couldn't find the movie. It could be on there. I just didn't find it. So I would certainly Google it. There's clips of trailers. There weren't many trailers. So I'm kind of doing this from memory. But what intrigued me about it is near-death experiences. Cats, sorry. They're so they're so distracting. Mom. Do you hear that? Do you hear that?
That's funny.
Yeah, I know it, right? And he's the quiet one.
That's what I should do. I should move my studio closer to my living room, then you guys could really get serenaded.
Oh yeah, you have really. I talked to her and that's what the other one sounds like. But anyway, let me get back to this. children's verifiable past life stories, near-death experiences, ghosts in my child, all those will have stories of children. And there was and one client, and I sent a couple others. It seems like coming up conversation. It seems like in my talking to people, past lives are popping up spontaneously to me. I'm thinking, why am I getting this for this person? And then it's relevant. And I just a receiver. What makes me get so much to do it? Well, I've done it every day for 33 years, but I was born with this condition. Yes, I have to take responsibility for it. Absolutely. Um, when you work a lot, you get more practice, like piano. So I do get stuff that I have to sort through and think, why am I getting this? And I have to say it because I'll never release it from my brain. I connected with somebody a while back, and I had been seeing a dead girl for about 3 years now. And someone chastised me and said, well, pass her over, have her go over. Well, I do that. Or if you have a spirit person coming to you and clearly they're in a ghost loop, I call it, and they can't seem to get out of it, then I'll talk to them. But this girl won't talk to me, won't say anything. She just stands there. I said, well, give me what state you're in. And it was very frustrating. And I was, anyway, get on to reincarnation stories. I got off on that. I apologize, everybody. And now I can't remember why I brought it up. Anyway, past life, yeah, right. Wonderful getting older. A stream of thought. You get something else come in, it breaks it off. But what I'm talking about is I'm getting a lot of people interested in talking about past life. It's true. Like I said, 2 clients have called me lately talking about it. One young man from the Bay Area, and it never occurred to him, these things. And we were talking about it. I sent him some links. And it was really gratifying. He says, you've changed my life. And I really didn't. I think the universe comes and says, you need to talk to this person for the information you need to make changes in your life. And that's the role I'll take. And so, but I have noticed lately, and when I saw this a few months back on TV, and I thought, well, this is good. And part of the problem is that we have past lives. And if it's shown to us, I've come a firm believer in it. Even people who near death experiencers will then say, I saw a past life. I saw who I had been before. I can see the future. And there's a couple things with that, and I'll say what this is. I have a lady, her name is Tina. Her brother committed suicide, and I'm going to interview her. It's just our lives are so busy. But she's giving me permission to talk about this. And that the brother came to her, he had passed away. He says, verifiable. I thought it was insane because one day I said to her, oh, he's in the Caribbean. He says he loved Johnny Depp and that he's on a pirate ship. Well, after we hung up, she said, Nancy, come on. You're crazy. I found out from his son, who he was living with at the time, the son was living with his dad, that in the basement, it was a whole room dedicated to pirates. Not only the TVDs, but he had models. He had everything going on. It was great, amazing. And so in the next session, he said, I'm living the life of a pirate on the ship. Look at this. And she questioned it. And she says, what do you mean he's as a spirit person? And he said, no. And he said, I don't like my life. I don't like this life. I thought it would be better. And I assumed, we all assume until we know better, because I don't know everything. And I'm on a real steep learning curve like everybody else, even though I've done it for 33 years. I believe that he has re-entered into a life that he had before. He was witnessing his life, or he stepped in to experience it. So I believe that we have access to past lives that we can live again. It's not like we're stealing a meat jacket to experience life, and the soul that was supposed to be in there can't get in. But we can go back and re-experience, and that would explain some of the love and habits that we have in this life. I had my first past life regression in the early 90s. I think it was 90, 91, really early. I started 90 here. I think my mother, I'm getting the years mixed up because it was so long ago. And I saw myself as a son in the desert of Middle East somewhere. And it was the time of the Greek or the Romans. And I was the son of a man who made wheels. And I remember him giving me, listen to how I word that. I remember him giving me in this past life regression, he would give me the wheels that didn't quite work out. And they were wooden, but they had a metal strip around them. So he would give us the metal strip. And I would get a stick and I would roll that all over the place. And our kids would play with those things. Well, I became a really good runner. Well, guess what? I'm a runner in this lifetime, or was for many, 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 many years. And I love running. I love walking. I love everything on my feet. And so that past life was presented to me. And I thought, well, I just made that up, right? Well, then I did research on, as a man, I joined the military and that I had been a runner for the military. And so at night in encampments, they would have someone who took a message from one camp to another and not with any light, not horses, but a runner from camp to camp so the opposition wouldn't see anything going on. Guess what? And they found, I think my husband looked it up and said, oh, yeah, I know they did that. Well, I didn't know nothing. And I was a runner. Who knew? Well, the career came up to him when I slipped on a rock and fell. So I was sent home and I ended up making wheels like my father. So it was a complete cycle in that lifetime. Do I have bad knees? Yeah, I do have bad knees now from overdoing horseback riding and then into running. And so a lot of positives come from this. A lot of our hobbies reflect who we were. A lot of interest in clients now because it's been interesting on TV and movies, the idea of reincarnation, coming back, coming back, coming back. And so when I saw this movie again, and I want to go into it and explain why I liked it. So again, this is set in 1991 era. And there is some incident where this woman is found by the police and she cannot talk and she cannot express herself. And there's a lot of evidently trauma. Was she mugged? I can't remember because it's been a few months, but there was some incident and there was no fix for her. So they put her in some kind of a home. And the idea, I remember seeing nuns, but nuns can be an orphanage, it can be a home for wayward people, which she was Emma, what was her name? Anyway, I'll get to her name. In the movie, she's called Margaret Emma Stone. And so she was pretty young 30 years ago. So she's a young woman. And the police get hold of this detective. His first name is Kenneth. And this is Kenneth, Branagh. Well, I don't recognize him. But anyway, the detective's name is Mike Church. I'll call him Mike. And they say, we have this lady who cannot speak. And we need to find out. She has no memory, asthmatic. And so we have to have you help us find her. So he takes on the case. He wasn't going to, and he meets her, and she's just lovely. And she really needs the help. Find me, please. And so he tries really hard to find her. And then he gets the idea, well, wait a minute. Maybe we could do some sort of hypnosis. And so he finds someone that he trusts, and it's a man who owns an antique store. And during the process of the regression, somehow she's able to talk. You guys will see this. If I make a mistake, you'll have to give me some grace on that. So Emma Stone is the lady. Her name is Margaret. And she flashes back to a prior life. And it matches up with some of the nightmares she's been having. Even though she can't remember who she was and she can't speak, she's been having nightmares. And part of the problem, issues that these police people have, and the convert where she is that she's screaming and yelling in the middle of the night. And they've got to find out, they got to discover who she is. And that's why this gentleman, Mike Church of PR, has been called. And so this is all present day. And in these dreams, these nightmares that she's having, she reflects to a life in the 1940s. And she sees herself as a beautiful woman, like she is today, and that she's in love with a I think it's a professional pianist. And they live in this magnificent, beautiful home. And so she, in the dreams, she's being murdered. And it's with a pair of scissors. Char, did you ever see this? You're kind of nodding there.
No,
Okay.
I've heard of this movie though. I had a friend that
Yeah, yeah.
wanted me to go see it.
Well, very traumatic. I'm not afraid of dogs. I've been bit 3 times.
Hmm.
Long distance runnings on the bike trails from Granite Bay to Auburn Lake trails. And so I've had some, I got really attacked really badly. But I have a flash of past life where I'm a child or a young person and
Hmm.
I'm crouched down. I don't think it's wheat. I think it's reeds of some sort. They're tall. And I look up and something's coming down on me. End of life. Yeah, in this lifetime, I've been attacked many times. So sometimes the bad memories of the past don't affect us today. That was then. It could have been a tiger or it could have
Right.
been a dog. But my last thought was, oh, look at that. I was so young in this past life that I just look up and see it coming down. And there's no understanding. So
Hmm.
it's anyway. But in that dream, she's in these nightmares, she's an adult. Now,
Hmm.
this is this day, but when she has the dreams or these nightmares, it's in it's in the past and she doesn't see it like in color. It seems like it's a blurry black and white. And so when this fellow says we're going to try to find you, it's all wonderful. Um, he says we need to find somebody to help you remember. And so he takes her to a hypnotist. Well, I kind of was wondering. I don't remember how is that. Did hypnotist get her to talk? Very possibly, because all of a sudden in the movie, I remember someone should write in there. I don't know if we can get access if someone's seen it more recent than I did.
Hmm.
Oh, hi, Savannah. If you can Google that, like I said, internet's been down for an hour and a half. Um, so he takes this fella as a hypnotist. He owns a antique store, and his mother lives upstairs. And he seems like a pretty nice guy. He's very gentle, treats her with kindness, and he puts her in a hypnotic state. And then she starts with the nightmares. I'm being murdered. And she's screaming, and it's carrying on. And they go, well, let's take it easy here. And so they just allow her to stop, and he brings her back. In the meantime, she's starting to talk, and yet she can't remember who she is. So the next time she goes back and she's in the middle of a banquet or something, and she said, I remember him giving me a bracelet. So her voice is coming back. And then at some place, um, in between all this, the boy is remembering something of his past. And we don't get to know this immediately. Um, but ultimately, she starts putting her life together in the past. And this is, if you can envision Alfred Hitchcock, and some of the Jimmy Stewart, Rock Hudson movies of the past, where the tension is continual. You never really relax. And there's a flashback. There is a face in the shadows halfway seen. And it's elusive what's happening. I've taken a lot of classes on writing, and marketing was what I took in college. And I've taken classes on um, writing, successful writing. And it's just like Char, I did some business writing. I didn't care for it, but I liked this other. And that some of the best things I got was a good movie, good book to read, is when there's enough tension that it keeps you biting. Like I need to see what's on the next page. So when I
Okay.
wrote The Unwilling Sacrifice, I didn't want to write a big book, but I wanted a bite to it. And I kept that in mind. And this movie has that, I got to find out because this elusiveness of going back and remembering her life in the 40s and how she died. She's getting everything but the death itself. And so she sees herself and then she's dead. But it's always elusive. They really don't tell a lot. Well, the PR wanted to know if she's making this all up. And so he hits the newspapers, magazines, and he does find this um, death of this wife. And the husband is convicted because it's his house and it was in her bedroom that he found her because he found the body with the scissors in the body and took it out. and it looked like he had killed her. He was pulling the scissors out, and he was convicted, and he was put to death. But in all of that, the man who interviewed him was a newspaper reporter at the time, and he happened to be alive. And so this PR wanted to interview him, and he was in one of these senior homes for the very aged, and he had been smoking all his life. And so one of the conditions, I'll talk to you, but I want a cigarette. And as he takes that cigarette, the drama, all that gasping, all the, and in the shadows, he's gasping for air. He's dying from cigarette smoke, soaking, and it was just drama. And so he finds out that he actually interviewed him while the man was in prison, and everybody thinks he's very guilty. Well, the husband bent over and whispered in his ear, "I did not kill her," but he allowed himself to be executed for it. Like what did he not tell this reporter? What did he not say?
Right.
Maybe he loved her so much that he couldn't live without her, but he did whisper. And so this guy wants to, this PR is kind of wondering, well, he didn't kill her. Well, who killed her?
Mm-hmm.
It's not making much sense. And of course, the woman being interviewed, I mean, the one who can't have memory, and she's barely talking now. She can't get her death. So he didn't do it. What happened? So there is another mystery on top of why she can't talk and whatever. So while investigating, he finds a place to keep her. Now, this is where I got a little confused, because in all of this, it's taken time. And she ends up living they take her to a place where they think it's her home. And they go in, and there's all this artwork and statues. But the primary interest in her artwork are scissors. There's scissor paintings. There's scissors on the countertop. There's a big scissors in the middle of the room. It's just very morbid looking, like scissors 4 feet tall. She's created a scissor pyramid. It's just very bizarre. So because it's been a few months since I've seen it, somehow they do find out who she is and that this is the place she's living, and they go in there, scissors everywhere. Very unusual. And at some point, the PR guys have a really hard time, and he needs help sorting this out, because he doesn't even know if he wants to believe in reincarnation. Though he did find this, well, she must have read up on this, and it's because she doesn't have much memory. And so he finds his best friend. He finds somebody he trusts, and he goes and visits this guy. He works in a meat factory, a beef, and he finds him, and it's Robin Williams. So Robin Williams if you ever saw Good Will Hunting, Robin Williams plays a psychiatrist in that. Well, he had been a psychiatrist in this movie in the past. He gave up because he had a hard time dealing with people and their issues. I can guarantee you it's really difficult at times, because you constantly have to think quick, and you have to think true, and you have to think kind. When people call you, my work, that people dismiss it so much. Oh, you're a fortune teller, you this and that. It's amazing to me how people trust me with power over their life. Well, you better find somebody who's kind, or someone who's honest, or someone you trust, before you allow them your life. Well, this is what Robin Williams couldn't do anymore. And so he sits down and he talks about this. And of course, Robin Williams, like in Good Will Hunting, he's so profound. And I remember thinking he had a wonderful comeback to this. What do you think? It's not real. He gives that spiel of what do you think? And how many of you, when you first encountered the word reincarnation, you go, I didn't even think about this. It didn't even occur to me until after I got into this. How is this possible? I come from a Christian background. Just because I saw my dead father and other spirit people didn't mean I believe in reincarnation. When you get hypnotized for the first time, you think it's made up, right? Well, you get enough stories, and I think the internet is wonderful, YouTube, and it's wonderful that they allow themselves to be exposed to being tape recorded. And how many times have I read under near-death experiencers find out about past lives, or children of past lives, or adults with past lives? They talk about it. And it's always violent, it's always bad and wrong. Not really, but sometimes in everybody's life, we've had violence. I've been in car wrecks, I've had incidences, and Char too, and you go to a place, if next lifetime, am I only going to see those things that hurt me? Am I going to not see the one thing that is so wonderful? I can't answer that. I don't know. Is it the things that turn our life around, like my cancer or the divorce? I can't answer that. The day I walked out of the telephone company after 24 years to do this, are these the reincarnation episodes that we have to work through maybe next time or choose to? One day I was talking to somebody, and just a thought, everybody. I have a very, very small family. My father was the only child. You know, my girl, his two daughters. My two sisters didn't bear any children. I have two. So we have small families, and there's family members who've moved away and created another life. So, I had 3 or 4 people I can call, right? That's it. But one day I was talking to somebody, and it was mentioned to me. Who was it? It was a woman with a lot of family. It doesn't matter, but lots of family, like 12, 13 family members she can call who are in the neighborhood type of family. And it occurred to me, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be soft and fun to be part of a family where you have so many members? And I got a little jolt off of that. And I went, oh my, did I just request a next life to have that? Well, I saw myself in a future life, rather, of a young man with black hair. And I thought, well, he's tall. I don't know what culture he is. I felt like he was going to the military to travel space, because that's what I want. But maybe he comes from a family where there's all these siblings and all this family. So for Christmas, you have 3 card tables instead of 1, 3 kitchen tables, network of family. Well, the other night I watched, oh my gosh, what's that show with Richard Burton? I'm sorry, I'm going to be embarrassed here in a minute. Al Pacino and Marlon Brando, Godfather. Okay, I watched a Godfather, and they had all these family members, and the youngest son goes to Italy to get away from the mob, and he meets a girl that he wants to marry. He falls in love with her instantly. So he goes to the father and says, "I want to date your daughter, maybe become her husband." Well, as they're dating, she has like 10 women following her everywhere. Family is very, very, very good. So when we have a past life regression and you see these incidences, are they to bring you up to the next time? Well, getting back to the movie, why is it she's only seeing this one time, this one life? And if it wasn't her husband, as the reporter found out, I did not kill her, then why is she having to have these dreams? How many times, Sharon, I've been killed in a past life? I've talked to a lot of people where I saw big swords going through their bodies and just amazing deaths, yet they don't have nightmares about it. Kind of wonder, right? Well, when it flashes to the past, it's always in retrograde, black and white type of thing. And I realized that in that black and white of her visions, it's cold and indifferent. There's no warmth to her life there, except for when she's in love with her husband, expresses her love for him. So in some ways, it was a foreign environment, which tells me that if it had been in color, it would have been the love of her life killing her. It wouldn't have been somebody else. Somebody else reflects that cold death, that incident that we can't identify. Now, I've had people tell me they dream in black and white. I've never. It's always been in color. But I did find that these dreams of hers, these nightmares, were also in black and white. The regressions going back were in black and white. There seemed to be no doubt in her mind that she was dreaming the past, or in the hypnosis, it was the past. The PR person did not believe it, and that's why he investigated, and then he found out that the husband did not kill. In the midst of this, after about the 4th time visiting the hypnotist, if I remember right, and after visiting with Robin Williams, and I don't remember his name or anything, could look it up, the PR person is getting really interested in the story. He wants to know why he may be involved, not emotionally involved or acknowledging, but he finds it curious that he is with this situation. And more of the stories coming out. in the meantime, the fella that is the owner of the antique store is realizing that the story that he's hearing is the environment he grew up in. And he goes and talks to the mother. And the mother turns out to have been the maid of the man the woman marries in the dream. And she married him not as young people, but in later years, so 30s or 40s, whatever. And so this gentleman that she married in those years, the pianist, this maid had been taking care of him and inadvertently maybe fall in love with him. And she had a son from a prior relationship who was in his young teens. And that boy became jealous of the new wife, which was Emma Stone in that lifetime. And it comes out that he witnessed the man shortly after they get married. He had given her a very pricey bracelet. And because he felt his mother couldn't have the man, he was going to steal the bracelet and give it to her. And when he went in there to steal it, I can't remember if she wakes up or she comes in. I feel like she came into the room. She's confronting him, and he picks up scissors and he stabs her. So it was the maid's son that killed the wife, and he gave the bracelet to his mother.
Wow.
So he remembers doing that, and I think the mother had the bracelet. Now there's a lot of things going on here of implied drama, implied viciousness, implied this and that. I've yet to meet anybody. I've done a lot of regression work years ago, not so much over the phone. I would like to get back into it because you can do it by Skype, where I have found tremendous violence. I won't let my people go through and experience it. I have them walk up to a door with a window in it, and then you can put your hands on the frame so you can secure yourself and look and watch. You're always separated from the visual. I always try to keep it separate because if you get into it and suffer, I don't know what that does for you. I've yet to find anybody that says, we're going to put you through this trauma.
Mhm.
Now, a long time ago, I did have an incident, which it was too late to stop it, of a man who got abducted. And I would like to have said, stand and just have a memory of it, because you can do that. So in when doing a reading and you're recollecting what happened, you could say, I want you to stand back and I want you just to witness you getting out the car instead of you doing it. And those of you who do past life regression, try to remember that. So I have people watch a scenario. Now it's up to them to open the door and step down into that life. That's up to the individual. You ask them at the time of the regression of what you want to do, because I'm not positive that I, as a hypnotist in this movie, would have put her through experiencing the drama over and over and the potential experiencing of death that she did. I'll caution people. Some of what I wanted to bring up tonight, which is very, very important, is I made some notes here. Pages and pages of notes. And of course, I just don't read them. The idea that we return the same groups of people over and over. Edgar Cayce believed that wholeheartedly. And he explained that Edgar Cayce, look him up, it's wonderful, Virginia Beach, Virginia. He died in 1945. He was called the Sleeping Prophet. Everybody knows about that. There was some other great, Manuel Swedenborg and a whole bunch of other people that access alternate universes. It's amazing, wonderful. He believed that we have the choice to pick whom we would like to have the life experience with next time. And I tell my ladies, if you break up with somebody and you really would like to have a conversation to do a life again, you tell the universe, you go out and say, I cannot have him this lifetime. Let us reconnect on the other side to do it again. Oops. Cat number 2. He chews plastic and also next to me. I stay away from trying to involve them with that drama and trauma. Always just witness it. And that we come over with the same group of people. So if you have a terrible relationship with somebody, you can always say, and you have to work through your anger or frustration or grief. I wish not to visit this with this individual next time. You state your promise, and I believe that we do have a choice. We are not forced into it. The other thing I do believe is when we first pass over, and I gave you a movie, the last movie of Natalie Cole, and in there, the main scientist has a helmet on. Trying to remember what it is called. I just thought of it again. Night something, where the scientist creates a helmet that you put on and that captures your memories, your thoughts. Well, she's dying from a heart attack, and she puts this on, not Natalie Wood, but the people Natalie Wood's husband is working with. And the first visuals of her dying, where she's lifting up out of her body and sees the memories of her lifetime. I really believe that happens. Part of the mechanism, I believe, that is the brain is dying and releasing the ability to see those. Now, someone says you capture in your brain all your memories. I believe, my truth, everybody, I could be absolutely wrong. People ask me, how do you think your brain, listen to me say it like that, your brain, Nancy, works like this. How can you go back? How can you go forward? I believe that those things you think of being captured as a memory are trigger points to allow you to access the past to go to that memory. Ponder that. If we have 100 million little capture things in our brain, well, how many thousand minutes do you live every day thinking about something? If I travel time going in the past, and you say, well, I had this fight with my husband a week ago, I can go to that because on your timeline with your husband, you're going to have a ball of energy. It's going to be very uncomfortable, blah, 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 like that. Sparks shooting off from it. I'll know that's an argument. I will walk into that. That's past. I cannot enter your brain and capture a memory you had. First off, where in the budget is it? How hard would it be for me to enter Char's brain to remember her taking care of her mother when she died? Can't do that. I can enter her time at the base of your neck. It's 2 inches down, right here at the dip. I feel myself when I enter someone. I can fall down. And then it's real slippy, slidey. Allergies, everybody, apologize. And I can slide back in your time and find that moment. We do that spontaneously all the time. If I said to you, for you ladies, go to a wedding, go to a birth of your child. It's not a memory. You are accessing your own time. Mm-hmm. We are also accessing future when you want it. Say you're relaxing, you're meditating, and you're just relax. Oh, what am I going to do in a week? All of a sudden you see yourself at the store or something simple. You can do it. I can do it also to a limit. I find that human beings are emotional creatures. And if I say something, well, my husband and I can't do that. I can't make this. Listen, some of the things I think, Nancy, you have common sense. What's wrong with you? We just blunder through life like everybody else. And there's people I banter with that can bring me clarity at times and possibly an answer. We can all go back. It's harder to go forward. That's why people like me are, why can't I do it? Well, that's a good question. How can I do this? I do believe I was born with this. And in high school, I did it came full force again. And I kind of quieted down when I got married, and then it kind of got bigger. It just got bigger. And so with the same thing here is that she was accessing her past, but it wasn't her past. It was her, she was the husband, and the PR man turned out to be the wife. She wasn't the one that got stabbed. She was the one who was the man who decided to allow himself to be executed because he couldn't live without her. It was actually kind of amazing. Now, I kind of skipped around. I know I do that, and when the show's over, I go, oh, should I said it like that? Can I not make it straight? Follow the notes, Nancy. That's why I put it together. So, as I was saying before, in the movie, it's found out that the boy talks to his mother. And in some ways, she has, I remember a box. She has that bracelet. And he is so amazed. He had blocked that for so many years, he didn't remember. And the mother had the bracelet. And they have a fight, and he ends up killing his mother. And then he realizes that if he can figure it out, then she's going to remember it was him. And he goes to where she lives to kill her. And he takes a gun and he goes there. And then in the confrontation of her being there, the man is then also there, the PR, and they're talking. And he said, "You killed her once before. You'll kill her again, and here's the gun." And they have this terrible fight, and it's known that he is now the one that killed her originally. And in the fight, the man that was the wife before, he grabs her, and they have this terrible fight, and he throws the hypnotist, who now discovers it was him as the 13-year-old boy that killed her with scissors. He falls upon the statue, the thing that's in the little room, of scissors. And the next scene you see is he's played out on top of all these scissors pointing up to the sky. So he was punished for a past life, a prior, in this lifetime, what he did as a child. Because clearly in this movie, he's in early 60s looking, so it was, or however, 50 years old, because time has passed. If it was in the 40s and this is the 90s, so 50 years, so he's probably at least 60 years old, or 65. I know it. You're not paying attention to me, Mom. One of the things I wanted to, where is that note here? All my notes, I wasn't following. I apologize, everybody. I do want to encourage you to black and white and color. I did mention already that sometimes we visualize and think of things in a black and white manner, and there's more color to our world. I wanted to bring that up. I think the other thing I wanted to bring up is this is a really good, not only whodunit, but it's tension, but it makes you want to think about, is that possible? Of course, for an eye watch, it's always been possible. But for an outsider, I was always wondering, someone who doesn't believe in reincarnation, are you able to watch this movie and be amused by it? Are you willing to think it through? Can you do that? And children are our best testaments of this. And how many times have you read about a child remembering 2 years old or 3 years old? You're not my mommy's still in heaven. And when Gail brought her son to me, he was 21. And he never did end up calling her mommy. It was always Gail. He always remembered his past life. So I know it's possible that we sometimes won't leave that life. And that's not terrible, but it's not fair to the present mother. And so in the stories on channel LMN, there's a playlist of interviews of children in past life. Dr. Jeffrey Long was one of them that started investigating past lives. He has a website. Look up Dr. Jeffrey Long. And they, at one time, I think I saw something like 10 years ago, and he had 2,400 verifiable stories of past life. Now it's in the thousands because of all these children that talk about past lives. Past lives where a young man died in the ocean outside of Japan, and the parents took the boy, put a reef in the water, and said, "This life is done. Let's go on." For this woman, whatever caused her amnesia, it surfaced and came back full force. Why does that happen? And the people I've talked to, I don't think I've ever had a past life superimpose himself completely on a present life. Yet there's a young girl named Edie who fell down some stairs turn of the century at 3 years old and woke up somebody else and moved to Egypt because she was somebody else. Did that past life came upon and took over the life of this 3-year-old child? Do you remember what her last name was? Edie Seti, S-E-T-I, I think is what she ended up calling herself, I think. She married an Egyptian and had a son. And she worked with archaeologists, and she knew of places in the desert where no one knew there was a garden or where there's vegetables or where there's a building. And we all have places that... my mother had an incident. I'll share that, Mom, if it's okay. She had a girlfriend live in the Bay Area who had a lot of money. And it wasn't like she was the best person to be around, but she didn't have anybody to travel with. So Mom had wonderful trips, and she was taken to Italy. And they were walking around, and Mom said, "Gee, this looks really familiar. Let's just walk over here." And Well, she went around this building and the Pope was standing there. Pope,
Oh,
right? Let me think about this, right? And they smiled at each other and he walked over. My mother was just darling, 5'3", 100 pounds. She always dressed very neat. And she was a very attractive woman. And he came and held her hand. It was wonderful. Well, a couple of years later, living in San Francisco, my mom's friend and her were shopping, and the streets were all blocked off and everything. And she says, I know my way around. Let's just get out of the car and walk. And they went through this aisleway between buildings. And on the other side, look it up, everybody, the Pope came to San Francisco. Guess who Mom saw? Pope. Hello. Now, she'd been gone since '09. I think she lived in San Francisco in the '80s. So it's been a while. But she'd met the Pope twice, just running into him
wow.
on the street. How many times in your life have you ever heard anybody doing that? And she knew in Italy where to walk and how she ended up. And he held her hand, and it was in San Francisco. And she says he smiled at me and he held my hand. How in the world was she able to get that close? How come there was no police people on that
Right.
walk through the buildings? I asked her. She says, I don't know. I just started walking. She had
Wow.
this funny, cute little voice. And I see that as a past life connection. Oh, your mother had a past life with the Pope. Well, why not? Why not? Who says, who was I? Who are you? And we take turns with, I have no memory of being anybody other than just a person,
Mhm.
just somebody. If I had a wonderful life that I brag about, would I want to remember? I was entertaining a group of people, the Spirit of Grace, a Universal Christ of the Master, where I was worked for 15 years. It was a Friday night group. And it was a kind of a bigger group, and I always just give a little message. I did at the time. And there was a gentleman there that you ever been in a group of people and there's that person, oh man, if he talks to me, I'm just going to, or I hope he doesn't ask me a question because he's kind of an opposite, the verge of being narcissical kind of personality.
Right.
Anyway, I talked to him, and he was the kind of guy that everything happened to him. He was always in the spotlight. He was always given, it just seemed like over the top, right? And
Mhm.
I went, oh God, I'm gonna have to talk to this guy. Okay, do you have a question for me? Well, I looked at him. Thomas Edison superimposed himself over this vision of him being Thomas Edison. And I went, I am not going to tell him that. I'm not going to give him, Nancy saw me as Thomas Edison. I wasn't going to do that in front of all these people because he's the kind of guy that would go, I told you, I'm great. So I turned around after the meeting because you have to release it. And I said to Ken and Ollie Keck, I'll never forget this. I said, I picked up something on so and so. I'm going to leave it up to you to tell them. We'll do it in private, not with a group of people. And I think I said it in a way like, most famous person I ever seen in a reincarnation. I mean, really. And that he was this man before. I saw ballerina in the big castles they used to live in, dancing for the king. And she said in her mind, I picked it up, that this is probably the last time I'm going to dance for him. And I saw just recently something about that czar, and that there had been a ballerina who danced in her late 50s or early 60s for the last time for him. And I went, oh my gosh, there's the woman I saw in this past life with this girl. Will she ever find it? I have no idea, but I was astonished. It was validation to me. I wasn't insane picking up something crazy.
Mhm.
But if we are famous, do we not know it, or is it hidden from us? Because what would it do to us to know such things?
Mhm.
I have no idea. The visions I have of me were all just hard working, blue collar, salt of the earth, which is fine. I love it. I love it. Okay, everybody. I hope another comment or two. Okay, as adults, coming to grips with reincarnation can be unsettling. As we become aware of the truth, can you deal with it? What are you going to do with the information? And how do you incorporate that into your present life?
Mhm.
I believe when I had cancer, I thought to myself, it didn't occur to me to start thinking about, look at all the spirit people you see. We
Mhm.
survive. at the time and when you're going through stage 3 plus, 6 months from being stage 4, they ended up telling me. Whether she should have told me or not doesn't matter, but that's what I was told. And I remember thinking there has to be more to life, and that's why I got into this. To find out that there's reincarnation was a hard pill to swallow. I could accept it easily that we survived because I saw dead people all the time, and I had a lot of validation from people saying that's right, that's right. So I kind of got to that place, but the idea that we have to relive or live more lives, especially when I started reading on Casey and so many people who believe in reincarnation, it was quite unsettling to me because I thought, wow, this has been a tough life. And if the lives I've seen are all tough, what is there to gain to know any of that? Well, I think the point is that we take life too hard. I've had Shar and I, we compare notes, sometimes it's like, dang, honey, how hard can it get for you? Or, you think, geez, hard. But it's no harder than anybody else who's alive. It's amazing to me how many billions of people we have on the planet, and every family situation has a family member, or you have something happen. In my life, I'm in my mid 70s. I've been through no less than 3 recessions of like what we've had. And I think, wow, every 20, 25 years, we go through a big dip in our economy. That's really tough. That's tough. Do we not learn our lesson? Well, the time before we know it's going to recession is when you buy buy stock and then it all crashes. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to know that. What does it help us knowing that we had a past life? That we do it again? Well, it's the idea that you don't take it as serious as you think so. Okay, this is a life experience. How am I dealing with it? Am I crying, screaming, having a fit? Or I'm going to say, well, this sucks. Maybe next time I'll be more careful not to invest or do whatever. But you do live through these things. And if you can take the knowledge into the next life or take a hobby, I'm not going to see myself riding horses next time. Will I give up running? I don't know that, but I will keep up my athleticism. I do see myself as a young man in the Air Force, and I will want to go into outer space. You have to be fit. That's who I am. So I'm taking a tendency that I've seen over lifetimes, which is amazing. Lifetimes I see myself as a running child, running adult, the one I told you earlier. So if I said to you, okay, reincarnation is hard to grasp because you can't figure out how it happens. Scientists look in the universe, how big it is. I mean, how many planets have people that have past lives on those planets? Well, I have seen a couple, very strange looking forms on other people. Very, very strange. And I've mentioned them a few times, and it makes me realize we don't have to come back to life on this planet. We can have a life somewhere else. Wow, that's fun.
That's fun.
And then you go to a place of thinking, okay, that woman had life after she died. Am I going to now have a life remembrance of some other life on a different planet? That's a great idea. I'm going to write that down.
That's a great idea.
That's a good idea. What good does it do? It's amusing. Does it take away the stress of living? I think we all carry that. I think what it needs to be said is be amused by your life and live it full-heartedly. And I have said to people, I think one reason I like being outdoors is I like to breathe air better than indoors. Why not? I like looking at the stars. I'm not one to be captured by food. I have a child that loves food. I mean, it's great. I don't have the interest, but I do have interest in being fully alive in the moment. Does that come from cancer? Absolutely. Does it come from hardship? Absolutely. But I think when we learn to appreciate every second that you're alive and that you're breathing, and how can you take 100% of that and capture it? I think that's what the deal is. That's what the lesson is. Because sometimes I find that the cat sitting there looking right at me like, what are you doing, Mom? Is that I am laughing at a big black cat looking at me. It captured my emotions. I just hope he doesn't meow because he's a loud one. And it's like capture that moment of being happy. I have friends that talk to me. I have a friend, and I have someone in my life since Let me see, 63. I have another friend from 77. I've known Shar since 95, 96, I think. It's when those people show up on your caller ID and you go, oh, now those are just three. I have other people, please. I have, um, oh my gosh, I could talk about the states and the counties and the countries, but they're all important. When they come up on the caller ID, if you get excited, then you got it. You figured it out. Every breath you take is important. Every moment of being happy. And there are people who are suffering with diseases, absolutely terrible, terrible. Children, terrible, terrible. I can't answer that. If we choose a life, as the children say, and verifiable cases of children's past lives, something, and they say, I chose you to be my mom. What if the story for that life is very short? I don't have an answer. I just have this information and I want to share it, because part of being who I am is for you to capture what you want to believe in and think about. Like the young man from the Bay Area, when I sent him the links to the children's verifiable past lives, he said to me, you changed my life. I didn't do anything. His angels, his spirit people, his higher self said, we want you to have a bigger picture of life. We want you to understand that there's a bigger scope of what's happening. I know Nancy's going to do this, going to tell you. I'm the tool. That's all. That's all. Okay, I think I remembered. Well, the only thing I need to finish out is, if it happens to you with a child, sit and say, oh, is that right? Do you have stories of your before time? If they say yes, or I have a memory, say, I would love to hear more of that story. Would you like to tell me, or do you want to draw me a picture? Get as much as you can and keep it. Keep it for them when they get older. It's wonderful. And tape record if possible. Before my mother passed away, she came down to visit, probably been 2004. No, it was mid-90s, I think. And we had tape recorders. It was on a cassette. And interviewed her. And I've never forgotten. I've always held on to that tape. I've got to do something with it. I'm so afraid to have it broken. But to hear your children's voices 20 years and 30 years in the future, or older people in your family, capture their voices, because that's the first thing that we start to lose memory of. We have plenty of pictures, but do you have their voice? I think that's really good. Okay, same with past life memories. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have a chance, find Dead Again. It was a movie made in 1991. I did see it on TV. I don't remember where it was. If it's on the internet, I can't answer that. Now I'm getting all the mail that I didn't get for a couple hours. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you.
Well, along the line of what you were saying, I had this vision. You were talking about the guy, Thomas Edison, and I thought about this. Because for years when I was in school, I dated a kid that was a literal genius. And he would take apart his phone and things like that, at the age of like 4 and 5. So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff we did, build computers.
Yes.
But the vision I had was, and I agree with you, how to tell somebody, hey, you know what, you were Thomas Edison. And they're like, I can see somebody going, really? And then walking over to a light socket or something, and grabbing the nearest screwdriver and electrocuting himself, Yeah.
Well, there's a woman, lovely sounding lady, who called into Coast to Coast AM for many years, because I listened to almost every show, and she thought she was Cleopatra.
Yeah, I remember.
You know what? I cannot take that from somebody.
Right.
Why not? And no disrespect, she thought she was African. And it come to find out that Cleopatra was actually Greek. Mm-hmm. And so there was one night she called in, and I think the guest kind of poo-pooed her, mm-hmm. because she believed that being an African girl herself, she thought that Cleopatra had been African. Mm-hmm. And I have seen myself. I had a past life as a black man in the South. And mm-hmm. I seemed to, in my vision, I was sitting on a porch with the poles in the front, but the building looked real small to me. Mm-hmm. One of those shotgun homes, front door goes all the way through to the back door, but mm-hmm. not real big. Maybe 5 to 800 square feet, really small. Mm-hmm. And I saw myself on the porch in a rocking chair, and I'm dying. My hands are on the arms. I'm just swinging, and I'm just capturing the moments leading up to his death, and he's rocking with his feet. And he's a big man, and in his memory, he's what I'm capturing is his life. He's remembering his life, and I thought, that's me. Why am I looking at this man? Because it was brought to me. And what he was someone who stood up for the truth in his village or his group of people. I don't even know what that meant. He says, I'm so glad I spoke the truth. Well, guess what I'm doing? I'm speaking my own truth also. Whether you believe this or not, I don't find I'm a pretty solid person. I don't like making anything up. I don't like being wrong. And why would I put myself out on a limb like this? Poor Shirley MacLaine wrote that book out on a limb. Poor thing. And I think, God bless her for having the guts to do something. And she stood up and she got ridiculed. Well, guess what? She's had a very happy life, believing in this many more years than most of us. And I do believe she's had a lot of experiences. And so that intuition, that ability to access, was given to her very young in life. And I think people like me, and I've talked to people like this, it's kind of like I just live a little differently. I just have a little chuckle, like, oh man, I'm not going to take this serious. And I rarely ever get mad, really. Even when this afternoon I got a little frustrated because I said, oh my gosh, how am I going to get hold of Char? And she heard me. She ended up calling me. Char called me. I was sitting there so hard thinking about her. I think, Char, how am I going to Wong? She called me on Skype, and it went through. She called from her Skype onto my phone, not the internet. So it's amazing to me, the internet of our minds and connecting. So if anything, if I can get you to believe in this and survival, sure makes life a lot easier, and believe that we're living our story that we want to live, not by accident. It's all planned. It's all kind of, and like I said, I don't like people getting sick or things happening to people, but I had stage 3.5 cancer. I survived to get into this. So something bad had to happen to me first, for me to think about changing everything. And I had a great job at Pacific Bell as a manager, making as much money, and I would have had more advancements. I left at 42. Was that 42? 42, I think. 24 years. I think I was 24 years. Because I had a couple of years off with having children. So anyway, let's call it a night. Shar, you want to pick up? How long did it go? A little longer.
You're good. No, you went just about where you're supposed to go because you started late. So you're good.
Yeah.
It's all good. Okay, Sunday, guys, we're going to be starting a new book, True Scottish Ghost Stories. So that'll be Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific. Monday, Dr. Linda Salvin is with us, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, and we're going to be talking NDEs. So that should be an interesting conversation.
Ooh, there we go.
So we have NDEs coming up. Again, I will be getting that up tonight about the classes that I'm going to be doing. I'm again recruiting for members of my team. I want to add at least 3 or 4 more people on my team, and the only route to be able to do this is to take these classes, and then you get approved from there. Nancy can tell you this, I'm a stickler. I'm a stickler when I'm out in the field. I like things done a certain way, and I've been doing it for 18 years, so I've put together a lot of stuff that just pertains to our team and the way we do things. So we don't do things like every other team. So if you're interested in something like that to join the California Haunts team, check it out around 10 p.m. Pacific. I will have it up on the California Haunts meetup page. Just Google California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team meetup. Okay, that being said, I made the announcement about the book for Sunday and Dr. Linda Selvin being on. I think we're done, and I'm going to give you Nancy's contact information. And, oh yes, my favorite. If you like the show, share it with 5 people.
Thumbs up, everybody. Give us thumbs up.
Yeah, give us thumbs up and all that good stuff. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. I'm equal opportunity. I am almost 150 subscribers away from 1,000 on YouTube. So we're coming up really close on that. So yes.
Go to my site, nancymatzpsychic, because eventually I will start my clips of readings.
Yes.
So nothing in conflict with her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she's got her own YouTube site, which we'll announce here too. But I'm so close on YouTube right now, I can taste that, and my watch hours are going up quickly right now. So hopefully this will all come together. It'll all merge together in a few months, and I might, have all I need for YouTube. So come on in, leave us some comments, conversations. I'm always on the community page on YouTube, leaving you guys messages and stuff. You can leave me messages over there. In fact, we're going to do a poll. Next week, we're going to do a poll on the guests. Which guest did you like and why? And we'll do a poll on that to see what direction you would like the show to go in. So I have a better idea of who to book. Okay? So I'm about to do that.
Good idea.
All right. Yep. Here's Nancy's contact information. Thank you, Nancy. And we'll let you guys go. Here we go. Let her rip. She's got 3 websites, nancymatz.com, the N, the M, and the C are lowercase, nancymatzauthor.com, the N, the M, the A are capped, and we just talked about youtube.com/nancymatzpsychic. And she's got 3 books out. Help Get Me Out of This Funk. Two Worlds, Developing Your Psychic Skills. And The Unwilling Sacrifice. And of course, you can get those at Amazon. All right, guys. Have a great couple days. I'll see you at 6 p.m. Pacific on Sunday.
All right, everybody. Good night.